Yeah, so today we're gonna discuss about AI in general, what are the different components that actually constitute the whole AI, and how these days the AI has transformed into like something which was like kind of a magic earlier, or something which is unachievable, something which is only based on research, into something which is now more consumable and used in general mainstream and can be used for the general purpose. So we'll go through the general AI stuff, and then we're gonna discuss more about Web1's AI bot Jackson, and then we're gonna discuss some of the use cases. Uh, so yeah, yeah, Marcus. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna try and mute myself. Okay, can I just have Sorry about this, guys. We're missing our awesome our awesome marketing manager Claire, who helps with these webinars, is away. So let me just see. That's much better. Okay, so I'm just going to use Nazish's headset, and then I'm going to pass back to him when it's his turn. Thanks for the feedback, Dean from Microsoft, and everyone else. Thanks so much for being patient. We'll make sure Claire is here next time. Okay, so let's get into Jackson. So just show you guys. Oops. So Jackson, yeah, he's our new bot, as I said. And the really cool thing about Jackson is that he doesn't have sick days. He doesn't take coffee breaks. He could actually work all night, and that's a pretty amazing thing. As many of you will know, you might hire somebody new, and they could come and join your organization and learn a whole lot of things. And one day they'll leave. And how tough it is. Now, what do you do with all that knowledge? You try and hire somebody new. You have a very short time to do that, and then you try and do a frantic handover. And there's no way that you're going to transfer all that knowledge and experience, probably not even over months, never mind over days. But with Jackson, and with a bot, of course, they won't leave unless you turn them off. So what can happen is it just can accumulate knowledge over time and keep accumulating knowledge over time. And that is quite a different thing, especially because it leverages machine learning. It's actually learning. It's not just it's not just like, say, a simple knowledge base that especially in an intranet sense, you used to perhaps trying to find an exact phrase in a search. In this machine learning way, you can ask questions in different ways, and Jackson will still understand, what you're looking for. So there's many different use cases, and we'll get into demoing some of these. Like you could be asking, what's the dress code policy here? Or, can you find the latest proposal template? What time is everyone free for this meeting? It could help you to fill in a form where, so many companies would love to have online forms. Well, this is the next level. You actually don't even need to fill in the form online. Jackson can ask you questions, and by answering those questions, he populates like a form in the background and sends it off to the appropriate area. You can do things like, if you're on the road and you're on the run and you just want to add a new lead to CRM, and we'll show you about this, you can just get Jackson to do that. So he can be the interface to all of your systems in the background. So we talk often about SharePoint and our digital workplace intranet, Ingeo, being that interface level where you can pull information from different systems and present it into this digital workplace. But actually, at another level now, Jackson can do that. And not only with your systems, like with other systems. So Jackson can be on your website. Jackson can live in your CRM. He can live on your intranet. He can talk to other bots. Like he could talk to Microsoft's Cortana and find out information from Cortana. So it's quite astonishing, actually, where this is all going. And as we're getting more and more into it, we're more and more excited about it, as are our clients as well. I'll give you one example on a personal level. as to, and of course, people are using AI already. You know, we're using it already. People are buying assistants already, like Google's Alexa and so on. But for example, I took my daughter recently, she turned 10 recently, and I took her to her first concert, which was Taylor Swift, which was awesome, actually. I'm a bit of a fan after that. I wasn't expecting that. But, you know, I know that in a few years from now, I could be driving down the road and there'll be an announcement that Taylor Swift's coming to Sydney. And my assistant, my bot, can just prompt me and say, hey, Taylor Swift's coming to Sydney. Do you want me to get 2 tickets for you and your daughter? Where do you want to sit? Up the front, in the middle, in the back, whatever. And I can say, sure, 2 seats at the back, please. And the bot can go off and organize that. So that's pretty phenomenal, isn't it? And you can imagine the investment going into these things right now is quite staggering. They say it's going to be like a $15 trillion industry by 2030, I think. So it's absolutely enormous. And it will create a whole lot of opportunities. As much as we're all, a lot of us are a bit afraid of AI and it taking jobs, me included, but also there's going to be a huge amount of other jobs and everything created from that. So as I say, Jackson can live on your website. You can access him on your phone. He could communicate with multiple ERP systems. Basically, anything that you can technically connect to, like via an API or a web service or something, then Jackson can connect to that as well. So he can be your interface, or he can be for your CEO, their interface to say, oh, show me the latest sales figures, or how many people have we employed recently? I mean, there's no limit to the things you can think of. Now, of course, it's not going to do it immediately, has to be integrated in with your systems and so on. So for example, here's a bunch of things that Jackson could do, like around communications. You know, you could say, we have it working with Ingeo, which will show you, we can say what's new, just or what's the weather, show me my calendar. Around knowledge and search, you could ask to find certain information. This is absolutely fantastic because you know, I see companies so struggling with knowledge bases and with knowledge management and document management, and something new is really needed in this area. And I think this is what it is. It still doesn't mean that you can have rubbish data behind the scenes. You still need to have good, clean data so that Jackson can understand what to find and produce it. But it's such a different, innovative way of accessing that information that I think we're seeing people really take to it. You could have it around employee essentials and self-service. You know, I want to apply for parental leave. I have an idea. I need some catering. Like just there's kind of no limit again in that area. Even for example, onboarding. You know, I know a lot of companies we deal with struggle with onboarding people, and so the bot can help you to onboard new employees and offboard employees and so on. So as you can see, it can really be the center place for all activity. And then you don't need to worry about what goes on in the background. That just takes care of itself. You know, productivity and integration with other systems, like for example, CRM and so on, data insights. You know, I mean, a lot of the time we see executives struggling with technology, probably because they have to go to a lot of different systems and understand different systems, and they don't have time and they don't want to do it. And so people end up creating all these reports manually and all that for these people. But what if they were just on their phone and they could just say something like, and they could speak with their voice and go, hey, Jackson, you know, what are the sales up to right now, in their own language, and that it would understand and come back. I mean, I think we're seeing it tremendously exciting people around this potential. But how does this happen? How does this happen? I will just hand over to Nazish for this, and then we will start getting into demos.
Okay, thanks, Marcus. So yeah, so the main question here is like, how does this whole intelligence thing happens? So behind the scenes, like different, you know, like worldwide vendors like Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, they have actually created different frameworks, different AI frameworks. And like we are utilizing like one of those. So we are utilizing Azure bot framework here to actually create this whole Jackson so that like it can deliver all those different services to you. And those Jackson can be made available to like different channels as well. So it's not just limited just to NGO as an intranet. It can be made available if you're using Teams, so it can be made available on Teams. If you're using Skype for Business, it can be made available there as well. And as Marcus said, like there are different use cases where you're talking about customer services and knowledge bases around service management. So Jackson can still reside on your website as well. And in some scenarios, it can even sit on Facebook and you can directly communicate with that. So behind the scenes, it's using a lot of Azure services that includes text analysis, computer vision, sentiment analysis, machine learning, and deep learning. So behind the scenes, it utilizes all of those services, and then it can talk with your core systems and your ERPs, with Power BI and with Microsoft Flow, for instance, and then it can actually bring that information and surface that information to you and also process that information. So yeah, so let's go back to Marcus and see some of the scenarios.
Thanks, Nazish. At the quick headset exchange. Okay, so let's have a little look here at Jackson. So some of you guys on the call, I know, will be familiar with our intranet NGO. So this is an example of a homepage. And here we have Jackson sitting here, hovering away in the corner. And so obviously Jackson can float around again, as Nazish said. He could sit on your website. He could sit on this. He could be sitting in your CRM or other applications as well. And Jackson already knows who you are. Okay, so you're logged in with your Active Directory credentials and all that. So he knows what permission you have to access what information. He can even know the sound of your voice as well. So he can recognize if it's your voice or someone else's voice and then show the information that's appropriate. But let's start off with a couple of simple things. Now we're doing a live demo, so hopefully this is all going to be okay. I could say, hey, Jackson, what's new? Now let me just, while he's doing that, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here. Okay, so I said, Jackson, what's new? He says, here's the latest news. So we've integrated Jackson in with our NGO intranet. So he's just bringing that news up straight away. So if you're on your phone and you're out and about and you just wanted to ask Jackson questions, then he can he can easily answer these kind of things. So let's say you want to ask Jackson something like you're new and you say something like, can I wear jeans at work, for example. So Jackson, because of his machine learning, will figure out, oh, you're talking about the dress code, and here's information about the dress code. Okay, so you don't have to spell things out exactly. Like, he will interpret what you're asking about and what you're talking about. Okay, let's say you want to find a particular form or something like that. Again, you can say, find induction form. And Jackson says, okay, this may be what you're looking for, and embed it right there in the feed as well. So you can just click on that and get into it and open that straight away. For example, another example, now you don't have to use, can you find me this and can you find me that? After a while, you'll just realize, some people realize, oh, I'm just going to type in sustainability video. And Jackson goes, okay, you might be interested in this, or I can view more as well if that's not the one for me, and embed the video right there in the feed. So hopefully you're getting an idea of when you're just talking about finding information, that he's going to be excellent at finding information. Now, if he brings back the wrong information, or if he doesn't know, and we could program it to say, oh, I'm not so sure, please check back next week, I'll know the answer then. Because what you can do is every evening or every morning or however often is to look at the questions people have been asking Jackson, look at the answers he's been providing and say, oh, he got that one wrong, or he didn't know the answer to these things. And you just educate him as to what it should be. And from then on, he's going to know. You don't have to teach them again and again. I'm teaching, trying to help, not teaching, trying to help my daughter prepare for a piano exam at the moment. And that requires a lot of repetition. But with Jackson, once you tell him once, he knows after that. So that's pretty cool. Now let's move into a different type of use case. Okay, so let's say that I'm hungry. Okay, so I just tell, hey Jackson, I'm hungry. Jackson goes and says, oh, you're talking about wanting to order some food, and here you go. Please select a sandwich. Now this is a way, instead of traditionally filling in a form, something online or by phone or paper or whatever, he's now saying, okay, please select a sandwich. So I'll say, okay, I'll have a BLT. And he'll say, okay, how long? Okay, foot long. I'll have 9 grain wheat. So hopefully you're not thinking, but I don't want a sandwich right now. It's the morning. Hopefully you're thinking, oh, I see how this could be applied in many, many different scenarios, okay, of information. We're talking to a university in New Zealand at the moment, and in the scope of work for putting in NGO, they had talked about doing some forms as well. And we showed them Jackson. They said, okay, forget the forms. We're just going to do it through here instead. So you can see how this can replace the need for that. So I can select a type of cheese. I could say I want banana peppers, and I want honey mustard, and I want oil. I don't know what that would be like. I could say 1 and 5. Is this your selection? Yes, it is. Thanks, your order's processed. So it can go off then behind the scenes and process that. I'll show you an example of that. So let's say if I say I have an idea. Okay, and Jackson says, I'd love to hear your idea. I'll say, run an AI webinar every month, because people will really like that. Okay. So Jackson thinks about that and says, oh, okay, I've sent that to the transformation and change team. Now, this here, this is part of NGO. This is a little ticketing module that we have. Of course, it could be in somewhere else, right? You could have this in somewhere else. So you can see the latest idea was, let's buy more wine. Okay. Now, if I just refresh this page, you can see the new idea is run an AI webinar every month. So you can see how powerful this can be, that you can integrate it in with different systems, not just with NGO, but with many, many different systems. So I'm going to pass back to Nazish now, and he's going to show you some other type of use cases. And I'm just going to change the host to his screen as well. Just 1 sec.
Thanks, Marcus. I hope you guys can see my screen. Okay. So I'll be discussing like some more use cases here, and we'll show you like how Jackson can be integrated with your Office 365 environment to to make sure that you can do your daily task in an efficient manner. So for example, you come to the office in the morning, and or probably you are out in the field, and then you want to check like what are the like recent emails that have came. So what you can do is like you can just write hi, and then you can say what are my latest emails, and it will go back. It's integrated with Office 365, and then it shows you your last unread emails in 30 minutes. Probably like in my last 30 minutes are not unread emails. Okay, so I'll probably go with the next scenario then. Okay, so let's assuming that like you are using a planner for your project management, and then you want to see the different tasks which are pending or due on you. So you can say, what are my pending tasks? And you can see here, like it shows you the last few like planner tasks which are pending with me. So I have to like book a workshop with Dan. I have to do some agenda work, and I have to write a presentation on bot scenarios. So all those appearing in here. So like it's making my day pretty easy and comfortable, and it gives me that information with really fingertips. Okay. So at the same time, I can do, I can use generic services we can consume generic APIs. So it can actually give me information like, for example, if want to know uh, what's the weather for the weekend, or like, will it gonna be rain this weekend? And here you go. It shows you the weather forecast for the next few days, and you are not sure, like you want to take umbrella with you or not. Okay, so yeah, I'll just go through like a couple of more use cases. So like, for example, if you want to know the daily exchange rate, uh, and one very important use case can be, like a registering of a document, like, like if you've got a whole document management system and which is started with a records management as well. So you can even do the uploading of a document together with the information like metadata, and you can upload it, like right through the bot. So if you're in the field and you have captured, like a risk form, and you don't need to actually, go back and then again open up a computer and upload the form into the right folder. So you can actually do those sort of tasks here directly. Um, I'll go through the onboarding use case here. So like I create new user. So it will ask me the number of options here. Is it a full-time or a part-time user? Part-time. Which department the user will belong to? Finance. Who is the line manager? Well, finance is with Chloe always. Okay, and to which systems you want to give access to? Okay, SharePoint is a must. and 0 because you need to get paid. Starting date time, yeah, that can be tricky. Okay. Well, January makes sense. Okay. Steve? Williams? Well, I'm not that good at English names. He's the principal, Steve. Okay, here you go. So like it gives you a confirmation screen where you can say, yeah, is this your selection? And you will say yes. Yeah, and here you go. The onboarding process is finished. Yeah, yeah. Excellent. So I'm gonna give it back to Marcus now.
Thanks, Nazish. We were hoping for much more of a conversational webinar between me and him, but due to technical difficulties, we have not been able to do that. But hopefully you guys have been okay. So you can see there's a whole bunch of use cases now. There could be like there's probably, I don't know, an infinite number of use cases you could have, but we've tried to create a variety so that you can see some ideas of what's possible. But pretty much if you think of any scenario, I'm sure that Jackson could help out in that scenario as well. So it'd be fantastic to hear from you guys if you have any questions now. There's just a few minutes left. And so if there's any questions, do just type in the Q&A panel and we can help to answer any questions that you have. Just to tell you a little bit about how we could help you with Jackson. So Jackson at present is available on like a subscription method with us. And so if you're interested in that, do contact us. You could just email me, marcus@webvine.com.au. And if you're interested in hearing more about Jackson or seeing more about it, then we'd love to chat with you about that. Okay, so Angela, can Jackson integrate with ServiceNow? And I'm getting very positive. Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Nazish, would you like to talk to that? 1 second.
Yeah, like ServiceNow is like a very, like famous service management system, and obviously they would have like the integration APIs. So definitely we can use Jackson here as a front face, where either you are in the field on your mobile app and you can talk with Jackson, or maybe even on Facebook or any other channel, and you can log the request directly from Jackson. It will go into ServiceNow, and you can take a picture of the problem right there and then you can actually just submit it to ServiceNow. And similarly, like for example, if somebody wants to know the status of their service, service request, so you can say, hey, Jackson, tell me what's the status of this service request. And it can actually bring you the actual status of that request. Yeah, so definitely, sure.
Thanks, Angela. And yeah, just following up on that. So that's where I see any of the potential. We see the potential with the bot is that interface to any backend system to find you any information for that. Traditionally we might have tried to pull in some information into SharePoint, or you could pull some information into Power BI. And certainly there are plenty of cases when you'd want that. Like if there's a big dashboard of information, you can't consume it all with a bot. But for quick answers and simple updates, it can be absolutely tremendous. Okay, Angela, thank you so much for asking a second question. Can Jackson send alerts if there's a high priority business issue? Yes, so what Jackson will do is Jackson is the interface now to trigger with the systems behind the scenes. Okay, so he will interface with those systems. So if you use Flow, for example, to send an alert, or use some other system that normally sends an alert, Jackson can communicate with that system, and that system can then send on the alerts. So it's not that Jackson is actually doing everything, but Jackson is communicating with all the other systems and getting them to do the things. So same with ServiceNow. He's passing through the ticket, but ServiceNow is creating the entry. ServiceNow is logging that ticket. ServiceNow is taking care of all that. He's no longer involved in that. He's just passing that off. So he basically, any scenario you can think of, if it's possible at all now, then he's just adding that layer. But he's also, of course, learning that, oh, I think this person wants to create a ticket, and then he can initiate this into ServiceNow, and depending on what way they say it. I have a problem, I have an issue, I have a fault, whatever it is, he'll start learning that, to interpret that as they want to log a ticket in ServiceNow. Okay, you guys, so we're at time. And thank you so much for participating. Really, really glad that you came on. Sorry again for the issues. We'll definitely have Claire back for the next webinar, and it'll be a lot smoother. So, but thanks again. Any questions, any thoughts, any comments? We'd love to hear from you. So you could certainly just email me. That'd be a good start. Marcus@webvine.com.au. And if you're interested in seeing more about Jackson, we would certainly love to show you more about that. Thank you so much for participating.